Go.
Hello to everyone. Thanks for being present in our event today. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Fernanda Robelo. I am a researcher at the School of Hospitality Management and Tourism at the Technological University of Dublin, and I work in the project Next Tourism Generation Alliance, which is hosting this event today. So our session today is about addressing skills needs in tourism and hospitality with innovative collaboration. We will bring a discussion of how collaboration between education, training, government, and industry in the tourism and hospitality sector is an approach that could bring innovative solutions to complex problems, building a sustainable future for the workforce. I'll start today giving a brief presentation of our project, the Next Tourism Generation Alliance, and then after that, I'll introduce our keynote speakers. They will speak about two themes related to collaboration between education, government, and industry in European level and in Ireland. Then I'll begin the roundtable with participation of the four guest speakers today. So please feel free to make questions through YouTube chat box, and we'll certainly try to address all of them in the end of the event. So I'll just begin the presentation. 1 second, please. Okay. Today, we are going to present a little bit about our project. The project started in 2018 with the alliance of 14 partners from the tourism sector and education sector, aiming in transforming the cooperation on skills for the tourism sector. The Next Tourism Generation Alliance builds around the concept of building a strong alliance between industry and the public sector. And the alliance has a strategic approach in building innovative cooperational skills underpinned by a collaborative framework. Collaborative framework created by the NTG provides a foundation for a national approach and a way to support collaborative skills initiatives in the future. As strategic goals, the NTG has a strategic goal to build a mechanism in each country together with tourism stakeholders for continuous tracking and bridging the gap between current and future tourism skills, to improve the relationship between tourism enterprises, education systems, and government, and to provide employees, employers, entrepreneurs, trainers, and students with a set of tools and training models in digital, green, and social skills. The project is designed to address skill development in the 5 subsectors: accommodations, destination management organizations, food and beverage operations, tour operations, and travel agencies, and visitor attractions. The tourism industry is transforming dramatically due to impact emerging technology, sustainable tourism needs, and health and safety issues, and increasingly fast-changing visitor demands. So our main goal is to engage and stimulate the industry with a fresh vision on education and research agendas, government policies, and to support the umbrella of the European Commission with our activities as a way forward to the future of the sector and alliances for skills. The main goal of the project is to provide a strategic blueprint for collaboration. This strategy is based on, will build a tourism ecosystem based on skills. The blueprint to sector cooperation to address skills needs in the tourism sector has a few instruments, and these instruments are the NTG skills assessment methodology. It is used to identify, assess, and monitor skills needs continuously and longitudinally. The NTG skills matrix, which is a flexible careers platform and competence skills database. The NTG skills lab tools. They are currently under development, but they are built to create a set of practical functionalities to assess skills development for employers, employees, HR professionals, trainers and students, universities, governments, and companies. The NTG toolkit, which helps education and training providers cope with the rapidly evolving and increasing changes in digital, sustainable, and social skills. And the quality skills standards framework that is an illustrative mechanism for integrating new skills into training and education curricula. And the NTG collaborative governance framework, which is a central element of the blueprint, which tries to strategically address future skills needs using input from government, business, and education. The collaborative governance within this framework is based on best practices, receive feedback from stakeholders, and tested at national and regional levels. Well, This session today aims in discussing the key topic of addressing needs in tourism and hospitality with innovative collaboration. Without the collaboration, a gap between skills development and skills needs could be increased. New solutions to address skills gaps bring transformative collaboration critical to skills development success. The collaboration provides industry and partners response and solutions to skills needs, strengthens the engagement of education providers, industry stakeholders, government sectors, and society. Collaboration is also essential because it brings opportunity for lifelong learning, reskilling, and upskilling of the workforce at regional and national levels, providing the proper knowledge for preparing for upcoming changes in the labor market and promoting skilling pathways. Our 4 guest speakers, they will discuss challenges and solutions for future skills needs with innovative collaboration initiatives, considering the sustainable nature of the industry and the society needs for the future. Our 4 guest speakers from Bulgaria, Greece, and Ireland have an extensive experience and knowledge working for the education and training sector, industry sector, representative organizations, and government sectors. So I will start this, this session. Just a moment, please. I will start this session with the presentation of our 2 keynote speakers in this model. The first keynote speaker, he will talk for about 10 minutes about collaboration in the sector, is Mr. Theodore Grassos. Theodore Grassos is Secretary General of the European Association of Institutes for Vocational Training. He has extensive experience both at European level and in Greece, covering a period of 20 years. His national experience includes reorganization of a number of public bodies, while he has been responsible for ex-ante and ongoing evaluation of human resource development operational programs, supporting the design and delivery of restructured and modernized ALMPs in different countries. At European level, he has been working in multicultural environments for the past 18 years for different DGs and European programs. Fluent in 4 languages, he has also collaborated with the Structural Reform Support Service, now DG Reform, and so far he has been responsible for over 100 projects of various sizes at national and European level, and is currently working with European institutions and key umbrella organizations in the areas of employment, education, and social inclusion. Since 2021, Theodore is a member of the DG Employ Working Groups on Vocational Education and Training and the Green Transition and on Adult Learning, opening up opportunities for all. Mr. Grassos will speak about his experience as Secretary General of the European Association of Institutes for Vocational Training in development and implementing different initiatives for collaboration within the European at policy level, with European organizations related to skills training, and also how EVBB is increasing and developing collaboration in local level to increase capacity and provide skills anticipation mechanisms with local partnerships. Theodore, thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you, very glad to have you here. And I'll just let you start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you again for this invitation. I was very happy reading or listening about the knowledge triangles that you presented, that you're trying to establish in your project. Indeed, collaboration between governmental institutions at a EU, national and regional level, and also the collaboration with the market, and on the other side, also with the vet and training institutions is of a significant importance in order to upskill and reskill the workforce. Let us admit something, first of all. We do have significant skills gaps, and especially in the tourism sector, that is trying to re-establish itself after 2 years of fragmented operation during the COVID crisis. And in an area where new skills are needed, they have emerged and they have to be adapted as fast as possible at a national and local level, including green and digital skills. Additionally, there is a lack of labor at this moment. This fragmented 2 years of the COVID crisis has unfortunately led to a loss of employees for the tourism institutions, organizations, and businesses. And now they are trying to re-establish themselves in a in an environment with a lack of personnel. There's a low image, both on tourism and on VET, which means that if we try to upskill or to train new workforce and new people, it is a little bit difficult to attract them to the market. And finally, what we see in this area is that unfortunately, or fortunately, let's say, tourists have changed their habits. They need more tailored approach, and they are searching also on themselves and are more demanding than ever before. So taking this into consideration, the question is, what is happening at the European Union side and level, and what is happening at the end of the day at the level where we are working as EVBB. I have prepared a few slides to set up the scene, if it is possible. As said, I'm Theodore Grassos, I'm the Secretary General of EVBB. EVBB is one of the associations of educational and training providers, and we are working at an EU level at two areas: upwards with the European institutions, and at the grassroots level with our members at the national, regional, and local level. By saying that, I would say that the main initiatives at this moment at the European Union level, I think most of you are familiar with the term, is the Pact for Skills. The Pact for Skills is a shared engagement models for skills development across Europe. It is the flagship action of the European Skills Agenda. The European Skills Agenda is a 5-year plan to help individuals and businesses to develop more and better skills. They include, the European Skills Agenda includes 12 actions organized in 4 blocks. These are the two main tools, policy tools, that are in place today in order to collaborate at the European, but also at the national level, for the skills anticipation on the one side, and on the other side for the preparation and upskilling and reskilling through new innovative curricula of our employees. How is this going to be implemented? Through 2 other main instruments, and they are being included in the European Skills Agenda. Number 1, individual learning accounts, the so-called ILAs. Number 2, micro-credentials. Why are these 2 areas very important? As you all know, the skill sets are being renewed every 4 or 5 years. This means that the environment, that the industry is changing rapidly. And we are constantly behind in the areas of designing and delivering new curricula. We need 2 years in order to deliver new curricula, while in 4 years, everything has changed. With these individual learning accounts and with micro-credentials, you will see those documents being delivered in December and a little bit later next year from the Commission. We are trying to establish the environment for the creation of micro-learning. This means that specific skills are needed. This means that small training programs should be created, and these programs should be quality assured on the one side, and on the other side, they should also be in a position to provide a certification and specific learning outcomes. So these are 2 areas that are demonstrated and prepared at this moment. If you want to find out more, here is the registration for the Pact for Skills, and I will explain a little bit more about that, because all of you can become a member of the Pact for Skills, and there is a specific section for tourism. 3 areas, 3 services are going to be created. Number 1, it is the networking hub, where you all can participate, as I said, if you register to the Pact for Skills. The networking hub supports everyone in finding partners and organize first meetings. This is going to be launched very soon, early next year, and it links with specific existing EU tools like Europass, like Curious, like Skills Panorama, and like the European network of PES, of the Public Employment Services. Then we have the Knowledge Hub with webinars and peer learning activities that are going to be available for all participating in the Pact for Skills. And finally, we will have the Guidance and Resources Hub. This is This provides access to information on relevant EU funding. I will give you a hint in the next slide, and it will also provide guidance to identify specific possibilities. You can find more about the Pact for Skills in the link that I'm providing here. I will share the presentation afterwards so that you can also look a little bit longer or deeper in details here. But this is the important part. At the end of the day, in order to upskill and reskill your workforce, you will need funds. And especially if you are a small and medium enterprise, your access to funding is a little bit more difficult. But there are tools. There are tools at the European Union level and tools at the national level. Erasmus Plus, this project, Next Generation Alliance, as you saw before, is financed by Erasmus. There are a lot of funding opportunities. The available funds have been increased, and there are specific fields: academic, vocational training, school training, lifelong learning, adult learning, and so on. Digital Europe program for the digital skills has a budget of 7.5 billion euros. And then we are going to the national level. And I think here is the hint, and this is the important that I would like everyone to keep as from my presentation. Although most of us look at the European Union level in order to get funding for skilling and upskilling opportunities, at this moment, we do have the Recovery and Resilience Facility, the Next Generation EU, that is approximately double the number of the available funds for all other EU activities at this moment, 1 trillion euros. And there you will have in your country specific plans, specific national plans for the recovery, and there the reskilling and upskilling is very high on the agenda. So you just need to organize yourselves, knock the door of the relevant authority in your countries. Every country has a different structure, and ask them to provide funding for upskilling and reskilling of your people in the tourism sector. And of course, then you have the traditional European Social Fund mechanism. I don't want to take more of your time since I only have 10 minutes. I will share that. It is just a snapshot in order to start discussing about all the other interesting things we have today on our agenda. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Theodore, for your presentation. It really brought us a great overview on how in European level we have new initiatives to collaborate and bring more to the industry and to the sector as well, with collaborative initiatives between education providers and the industry and stakeholders. Thank you so much. I will present now our second keynote speakers, Jenny de Sauls. Jenny de Sauls is the Director of Sector Development within Fáilte Ireland, which is the National Tourism Development Authority in Ireland. And she is third member of the Tourism and Hospitality Careers Oversight Group, a group responsible to coordinate relevant bodies to implement our program addressing labor supply and skills requirement in the tourism and hospitality sector. The Directorate continues to play a critical role in supporting tourism business to survive the COVID crisis. The individual divisions within sector development work across strategic areas such as enterprise development, accommodation development, and tourism careers to secure a full recovery for the tourism sector and the development of an innovative, sustainable, and resilient industry in the longer term. Jenny has worked with Fáilte Ireland for over 15 years in both national and regional roles, working on destination, product, industry, and commercial developments. Jenny has extensive FMCG experience, previously working with Nestlé across the globe for over 15 years in several commercial roles, and has also worked in private consultancy. Thank you so much for your participation, Jenny. And I also would like to see your speak. And Jenny will talk about how the collaboration of the Careers Oversight Group has helped to address labor supply and skills gaps in the Irish industry, particularly since the industry reopened following the pandemic. Please, Jenny, thanks so much for being here. It's a pleasure, and you can begin the presentation.
Thank you so much, and thank you very much for this opportunity to talk. I suppose just initially to maybe explain about Fáilte Ireland, because we're quite different to other national tourism agencies. We're a development authority, so we have responsibility for, yes, marketing at a domestic level, but more importantly, it's about developing the experience on the ground, but also developing the industry. So this skills and labour piece is a key element of what we do. As you mentioned, I head up the sector development directorate, and we're very focused on industry. So I've got currently 4 divisions: economic and industry analysis, where we provide that data and insights and actually shape national policy. Our enterprise development is really about getting in with businesses and helping them drive business performance. We have an accommodation development team, which is really about development of the accommodation sector. And the team that I'm going to be talking about today is Tourism Careers, which is just really focused on that labour and skills piece. I suppose, you know, the theme of today is collaboration and working together. So back in 2018, we created a group which we call the Careers Oversight Group. And really what we were doing there was bringing together the key players that could address the skills needs of the tourism and hospitality sector. And the purpose is very clear. It was about sustainable employment in the tourism and hospitality sector. And it was really about practical strategies that would really address the challenges that were there. The group works on a collaborative basis. And what we've done is we've brought together all of the people who actually have an influence on that. So we've got all of the industry representatives like the Hotels Federation, Restaurants Federation, vintners, attractions, etc. But we've brought all of those in the education area. So whether it's the colleges and institutions of technology, whether it's like within Ireland, we have a number of different methods. So the educational training. So we've lots of different elements, but we've brought all elements of all layers together. And then we've brought all of the government bodies. So the Department of Tourism, but the Department of Education and the Department of Higher Education. And we've brought all of those together, and Fáilte Ireland is chairing that group. And I suppose when we were set up, we were really looking at a sustainable employment plan back in 2019 and 2021. And, you know, it is interesting, things have changed a lot, but actually some of the issues are very similar. So it was about career promotion. It was really about that kind of competency at an employee level. It was recruitment and retention. It was about the industry and education alignment. And it was about, you know, facilitating and course mapping, because there's an awful lot happening on the ground, but actually people aren't aware of it and they don't know how to access it. So there was a lot of great work that was actually done as part of that. But look, as you were saying, Fernanda, things have changed a lot post-COVID. And similar to what our previous speaker was talking about, there are really big challenges facing the industry right now in 2021. So an exodus of skilled workers. We reckon at this moment in time, there's over 50,000 vacant jobs in tourism and hospitality right now. The businesses are really struggling to fill, and our industry are telling us the number one barrier for recovery for them now is labour. There's fierce competition because this labour issue is not just an issue in tourism. It's the same in retail, it's the same everywhere. So it's actually become incredibly competitive. And what we are seeing is this has had an absolute impact on business. So we have businesses now that are maybe only opening 5 days instead of 7, or that they're offering less service. So for example, some of our accommodation will only service rooms every 2 days as opposed to 1 day because they don't actually have the labour, or they're not providing all of the services in the hotels like spas, etc. So we are really working with the industry at the moment in terms of how do we actually fill these kind of vacancies. And I suppose this group working together has really made an impact because we've got all of the kind of key people together. So to give you an example, when industry opened in June, and then we had more industry openings, say in July of this year, there was a huge issue in terms of filling vacancies. So working with all of the people across the COG, we actually created these networks where we could get local businesses tapping into, say, universities and other people that were coming out of courses or development pieces. And the other thing that happened was actually a number of our course providers or provision providers pivoted to provide shorter courses. So courses that might have been 6 or 12 weeks, but industry didn't have the time to wait. They actually did short, quick courses for maybe 1 or 5 days so that they could get some of the industry in with some skills. And just to give you a context, when we researched with our industry in September of this year, 1 in 3 people working in the sector had never worked in the sector before. So, they had no skills, they hadn't been trained. And because there were so many vacancies, industry were really struggling to actually upskill them to the level that they wanted. And there is no doubt that the level of service has dropped a little bit. And it is really important for us to work with industry to kind of build that capability and mobilize the industry. And working as a cog with all of those key members, we're working now at a level that we probably have never worked before, with a real shared agenda, and we're really making some impact. I suppose in 2021, just to give you an example of some of the things that we were doing, because we had all of those industry talking to us about the challenges, we did a major recruitment awareness campaign, which was really about driving awareness of careers within the industry. We in Fáilte Ireland kind of led out in that, and we had this campaign about being the pulse. What was really good about that was we kind of harnessed a campaign idea across all of industry, but also across some of those education providers, and that really drove a higher awareness of the opportunities within the industry. The other thing we did was we delivered a range of recruitment supports for businesses. A lot of businesses in the tourism industry are small SME businesses. They don't have HR teams. They don't have highly skilled HR teams. The challenge of actually recruiting in a competitive market, they needed some upskilling. So we created a recruitment toolkit, which really just helped them to kind of leverage the be the pulse opportunity, but also to showcase their role in a way that would be motivating. So we did a webinar with some recruitment specialists. We had over 1,000 businesses attend, and then we created a toolkit with over 2,000 businesses downloaded. And the other thing, as I mentioned, we linked our industry to talent pools in local colleges and in local destinations. And we also created, we in Fáilte Ireland created a learning hub where we put up a lot of tactical learning pieces. So we had operational skills, so simple things on how to make a bed, how to lay a table, how to pull a pint, those simple things. But we also then did some work around train the trainer. So we were upskilling people within the industry to train their own teams, and we created simple training elements on core parts of kind of hospitality and tourism. I suppose that was very tactical, and I suppose as the previous speaker said, there are challenges within the industry that are more than just the tactical piece, and a part of that is people coming out with the right level of education, and also those going into education. So we have found that the number of people in Ireland that are registering for courses has significantly dropped. But actually doing some research, we're finding that there's not a lot of awareness. On a positive piece, we've mapped this, and there is over 371 tourism and hospitality courses, 183 in further education, and 188 in higher education. And these can run from basic entry level right up to master's and PhD levels. So the courses are there, and the good news for us is they're spread right across the country. But how we're communicating and how we're linking them isn't as optimal as it could be. So again, working with the Career Oversight Group and the industry and the education providers, what we're really doing now is aligning these courses to the need of the industry, but also to the desire of the employee, which I think is really important. The other key piece that we're seeing in Ireland actually is that tourism is not seen as a career choice by many. So if you are in the industry, or if you have family or experience with the industry, you do see it as a career. But if you sit outside the industry, often you just see it as an intermediate job. So it might be as a student to get some money, or as a retiree to get some money, or to kind of keep you connected to the community. What we really want to highlight is that tourism has an amazing opportunity for career, because if you are in the industry, you believe this passionately. So one of the things that we've been working with the industry to do is to actually create career pathways. And here is an example of one that we've done for a food and beverage manager. And I think what this demonstrates is that you can come into the industry with a low skill level and a low education level, but you can actually move and learn as you earn to get to a position where you can be a manager. And so the other thing that we've done is we've mapped the skills that you require, but I haven't done on this slide, but we've also mapped all of those educational opportunities. And so we've mapped a lot of those. There are some that are full education courses that you need to come out and do, others that you can do by night or at weekends, others that are just, maybe short, sharp things for a couple of days. And we in Fáilte Ireland are also layering a continuous professional development program, which will be accessible to all those in the industry on a self-learn and a self-paced way. And this is really about upskilling or creating more professionalism in the industry. And this is something that we in the Careers Oversight Group believe is very important, that we actually professionalize the industry and make it more appealing for those outside. I think the other piece just to talk about is, all of our work is really informed by informed action. So we are doing a comprehensive piece of research right now, because actually attitudes and behaviors have changed significantly post-COVID. So we are probably doing the most robust piece of research that's ever been done in Ireland at the moment. We've mapped the service and delivery offerings, as I've demonstrated. We did a survey of staff recruitment challenges. We did that in the summer this year with all of the businesses. The other thing that we've just completed with over 500 businesses completing is an industry survey on the skills needs and the hard to fill vacancies. So this is really giving us the insights into the current and future skill needs at both the national and a sector level. Then the other thing that we've done is we've done an on-the-job survey of current and former workers. So we've actually reached out to and got feedback from 5,000 employees across all sectors about how they perceive the industry, what is positive and what is negative. The other piece that we are doing is we are benchmarking with recruitment agencies just to get a better understanding about what is different to recruiting in the tourism sector versus other sectors. And we're also benchmarking internationally, because this challenge is not unique to Ireland, as you all know. We're also doing a desk review of the international agent experience and government agency learning. So we're getting a lot of sharing right across Europe, which is great. And then we're also doing a benchmark for those that have never worked in the career area. So these are kind of the younger people that are coming out of school or coming out of college. What do they think of tourism as a career? And it's also looking at influencers like parents and career guidance counsellors, and that just help us with the deeper understanding of the perceptions. And the other thing is really this vacancy index. So we're establishing a robust means of benchmarking the vacancies in tourism and hospitality relevant to other sectors. All of this is going to inform our work for 2022, and we'll be putting a new plan in place with the Careers Oversight Group. But we already know that we are going to need to address the perceptions about working in the industry. There are negative perceptions there about, the on social hours, whether it's got a career, etc. And we've got some exciting initiatives that we're working on there. We are going to continue to support businesses to recruit, but not only to recruit, but also to retain the staff that they have within the industry. So really driving greater retention across the industry by making it a better place to work. And the other piece that we'll be looking at doing is building employee skills and this continuous professional development. And more than ever, collaboration is going to be fundamental to this. So the role of this Career Oversight Group, where we have all of us together working in a united way, will be fundamental to success. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Jenny. It was extremely engaging, and you brought some questions and some things to think about how collaboration could work in a national level and all the work that Fáilte Ireland has been doing. And you mentioned something that I would like to highlight here. It's about being in the ground level. It's about reaching the people, which I think it's very important when you think about how to change the scenario, trying to bridge skills gaps. We have to reach people, especially after COVID, reach the business, and you provided a real pathway on how to do this. Well, thank you so much. It was really, really interesting. So now I'll begin the roundtable. All participants, Jenny, Theodore, and are the two guest speakers. They are going to talk about two topics. So the first topic of the model addresses how to build strong, innovative collaboration for skills needs with different sectors of the industry. Jenny and Theodore already talked a bit about it. Participants might share their thoughts on the importance of collaboration and the possible solutions to address skill gap needs in Europe. In this topic, our first guest speaker is Dr. Rolf Borbach. Dr. Rolf Borbach has been the head of the hospitality management discipline and assistant head of the School of Hospitality Management and Tourism in Technological University Dublin for the past 11 years. He has worked in several lecturing and senior management roles in different higher education institutions since 2001, and Rolf had 13 years of professional hospitality industry experience and held managerial posts in Germany, the UK, and Ireland. Rolf is a member of the Irish Hospitality Institute, charter member of the Charter Institute of Personnel and Development, member of the National Hospitality Careers Oversight Group that Jenny just mentioned all the work a few minutes ago, and vice president at the International Council on Hotel, Restaurant, and Institutional Education, and also vice president of EROCRE. His main research interests are in electronic human resource development, international talent management, and vocational training system. So I would like to thank you, Rolf, very much for participating today as well. And I'll start the first panel, the first topic question of the panel, asking for Rolf if he would mind sharing his thoughts on the importance of collaboration between the educational sector and the industry to attend skills needs, and what examples he might have to share in successful, innovative collaboration. So, thank you, Rolf.
Thanks, Fernanda. Thanks for the opportunity, and thank you everyone for attending this conference. It's great to share expertise in this area because obviously, as we know, the skills gap in the industry is a huge issue that needs to be addressed. And obviously, there's lots of issues that have been there prior to COVID, and there will still lots of issues to be addressed after COVID. And yes, Fernanda, you're right. I mean, there's lots of different areas in which education and industry should and must collaborate. And I mean, the reality is that most, and I dare say most universities around the world are already engaging on a continuous basis with the industry in order to, develop, design, and implement programs. And many programs, in fact, in universities are run in collaboration with the industry already. So there's a lot of examples there already that are working very, very well to address these types of skills needs in the industry. But I think also, I suppose, particularly with tourism and hospitality, I think we also need to borrow from other disciplines. And there's some really good examples out there where, particularly in the medical sciences or IT areas, where organizations collaborate, and actually entire industries are collaborating with the university sector and the education sector. For example, one of the universities here in Ireland, in Galway, they have what's called a translational laboratory in the medical devices sector, where they collaborate very actively and they try out different new products and new services with the industry together, So those types of research centers, I think they're probably the way forward in terms of trying to figure out new ways, new innovations and all of that within our industry. And students therefore then will get hands-on experience in the types of skills and attitudes and all of that needed to work in the industry. And I suppose the positive effect of that also will be that students will be far more engaged with the industry and are far more likely to remain within the industry. All right. Other things, obviously, that higher education or education in general can do or should do is they should introduce industry mentor initiatives. And currently, actually, Technological University Dublin is working very actively on this to create mentor initiatives with industry partners. So we get more collaboration and sharing of knowledge between the industry and academia. Also, our programs, we have industry advisory boards. Again, that's another very good mechanism by which we can actively engage with the industry. And as Jenny already mentioned, the Careers Oversight Group, that obviously is another very good initiative taken in Ireland. And yes, there is not just education in it there, but there is all of the players, and the industry is quite fragmented, obviously, with different aspects, from attractions to bars to restaurants and all of that, but they're all represented on the Careers Oversight Group. And again, that's a very good way in which we can engage with these different industry players and find out what's actually happening in the industry, and also to coordinate different types of activities across the entire education sector, because education obviously starts at primary school level and then goes on to secondary and tertiary level. So we need to be cognizant of what's happening all across the board as well. In addition, an important, I suppose, development we've had in recent years in Ireland is our regional skills managers. So in Ireland, what we have for each major region in Ireland is a regional skills manager, and that skills manager then would actively promote and engage opportunities to upskill people in their region by collaborating with the education sector and with the industry. Right. Just to give you, I suppose, just some practical examples also, what we have been doing as well here in TU Dublin and our own university is, for instance, we've been engaging very heavily with the Irish Hospitality Institute, which is in continuous development body for the industry. And together with the IHI, we have developed a range of modules and programs that are being offered to individuals working already in the industry at a reduced cost. So again, that would be a very good example of which we can sort of link in with the industry and offer exactly what the industry needs at a particular time that it needs those kind of skills. Another good example is major funding that TU Dublin has received from the Irish government, and the larger project is called Convene. And as part of this big project, TU Dublin has been able to offer online programs and online modules in key specific areas in entrepreneurship, digital marketing, and other areas to people working in the industry, and we've been able to do so for free. So again, that's another very, very good initiative in which we can engage with the industry. Also, I suppose at the pan-Irish level is the Irish Hotels Federation, again, with other industry providers and also the Restaurants Association in Ireland, have been able to develop a new chef training program and apprenticeships in that area. So I think that's a key development, really, that is sort of driven by the industry advisory organizations rather than just education by themselves. And that sort of ensures then that we create programs that are actually needed by the industry. Ourselves then, as well as in TU Dublin, we just successfully gained some Erasmus funding to develop new AR, VR, and XR experiences for students, which will allow us to, I suppose, bring the industry into the classroom, I think, which is a sort of a critical aspect during COVID as well, because a lot of times we couldn't send students out on placement, certainly over the last year and a half. So, using AR, VR, and XR is a great way of bringing the industry into the classroom without having to send students out if they can't, you know. So there's lots of different kind of areas in which we can engage. One word of caution, though, I suppose for me would be that we need to be careful in terms of the engagement between education and industry, that it needs to be sort of orchestrated, needs to be organized in some way. Otherwise, we get a huge level of fragmentation and overlap between different types of programs that are being coordinated. So there's just some of the examples. I don't want to go on too long, not to take away from my co-speakers.
Thank you so much, Rob. It was really interesting as well. You talk about a few things on educational level, higher education and other educational levels, and how to engage was something that I really thought that it was interesting in your saying, as well as Jenny, as you are from the Careers Oversight group as well. The idea of engaging must be there. And as you said, now bringing the industry into the classroom is something interesting, not only in creating innovative programs in university, but the idea of you have to bridge this gap, you have to bring together both knowledge, and we have to create strategies, and create strategies, as I said, in an orchestrated way, so things can work and do not overlap in very many initiatives. So that's really interesting. Thank you so much. I'll now introduce our second panelist of the day, which is Risto Yanev. Risto Yanev is a serial entrepreneur, highly motivated and a doer. He proposes and helps business in innovations, tours and activities, digital marketing, IT, personal development, lecturing, and public speaking, and autonomous vehicles. Voted one of the most inspiring and hardworking young entrepreneurs in Bulgaria for 2012. Risto is one of the practice lecturers in ITB Berlin, WTM London, Emirates Academy of Hospitality, Varna University of Management, University College Birmingham, and different worldwide events. So first, I'd like to thank you for your participation, Risto. And I'm going to address to you another question related to this topic, which is if you'd mind sharing as well how to see the innovative collaboration for a skills gap and how it could be addressed, and share your experience in Bulgaria. So thank you so much, Ojas. Please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's my great pleasure. I hope you all hear me well. And thank you for Fernanda. Thank you for all the speakers. It's very interesting. I'm listening since the morning, the whole conference today of NTG. And yes, the topic is very crucial and very important. Why? Because in Bulgaria, especially, we see every day, and every day we bump into different issues and problems related to the skills and to the workforce. But I want to use my 5 minutes in a more innovative way, which is something that I was thinking about, and I would like to share with you my own opinion of it. So it's because that everything comes down to the person itself. We have the research, we have the different organizations, we have the policies, we have everything, we have the universities, but all this is filled with people, right? So all of us, we are people. And my whole idea of innovative collaboration is to start with the self, with the person. If you are not motivated, if you are lagging behind, if you don't have if you don't follow up the modern things, how they develop, what's going on, where it's going on, how it happens, no matter where you go, in which university or what people you meet, your chances to upskill yourself or reskill yourself actually decrease with a certain percentage. And this could be also based on some research, and I'm sure there is research on that. But my point is that it all starts in the family. And here I'm going to tell you a story. Nowadays, myself and a lot more people that I know, their families were entrepreneurial, right? From their families, they were not pushed by the families, do that, but they were seeing the good examples from their parents, which actually transform into their own perception and action for the things. When they meet the nice people, when they're in a good company, in a college or in a university, and when all the people there, the lecturers, the whole staff, is having also the same attitude and implementing all those enthusiastic forms of lecturing, of showing, of presenting good practices, of bringing guest lectures, of having their own life experience. And this is what I call lifelong learning, because we see it in a lot of European documents, in a lot of projects. It's like a word for ecotourism. A lot of companies are saying that they do ecotourism, but actually they're not doing it. They're just using the word. So lifelong learning for me is really and collaborative improvement of everybody involved, yourself, all the people around you. And that's why universities like some of what you mentioned, like Varna University of Management, which I graduated back in 2007 with my bachelor degree, or University College Birmingham for my master's. I went there, I chose those universities because I did the research that all the people working there, all the lecturers are having this proactive attitude of being communicating skills, which is the theoretical part, and the university's approach of having the practice approach for the specific lessons, for the specific modules, going to deep details on spot, showing you how to do that, going to places, asking people to come and show you. So this is what matters. And actually, this is very difficult to explain because we have a lot of different research on that, and we really saw good practice from Ireland, for example, and from all the speakers until now. But if the people are not, and I'm sure that you support me with, if the people are not interested in that, or they don't know what and how to use those this material, these skills, and where exactly, it's almost useless for them, because they will not take interest, they will not go, they will not sign up, they will not take action, right? So this is my approach, and this is, I think, the innovation comes through mutual and all-together improvement in everything what we do, and it starts with the self. It's very simple, actually. It's very simple. European Union, for example, as we heard, has got really powerful financial means to arrange the policies, to address specific skills needs, and so on and so on. But it's also important how this is transformed through the different people related, through the universities, through the local governments, what they do for that. Bulgaria is not a very good example for something like this, apart from the Varna University of Management. I'm not saying this because I graduated the university. I'm saying it because actually I tried a lot of guest lecturing in universities in Bulgaria, and I actually do not engage with any other university because I didn't see the things that I shared with you, right? And this is important. For example, when you go in a class and when you see that the people are not enthusiastic about what they will learn, how would you feel? I mean, this is the policy of the university. These are the different people, right? And in Varna University of Management is not the same. This is not advertising. This is a real example. And I'm seeing that every time I go guest lecturing there, or even online. Another very good example is the fast reorganization of different approaches. For example, now VUM, the abbreviation of the university, has restructured very quickly to offer hybrid form of education. online and physical, right? And a lot of other universities in Bulgaria didn't do that, because for them it was easier to say, yes, we go only online, right? Because it's easier, right? This is normal. And just to wrap up, the whole idea of myself, and the whole idea of what I want to say, that it should start from the person, and the policies of the European Union and the different projects also need to address the person, the real self, and how to engage that person with that skill or need, because we all know how quickly everything actually turned upside down during the pandemic, and what happened actually. But we're going to speak about this a little bit later. But this is crucial. This is a little bit of self-talk and self-consciousness, right? But it's very important, and it's very important how all those people to understand that. This is what I want to share with you.
Thank you so much, Risto, for your talk as well. I've noticed that you talk about some things that are really important: collaboration as lifelong learning. We need to learn as well based on experience, person-centered learning. This is something that could actually, it is very important when we talk about the skills development, and also the idea that we need to center on the people and learn from them, to try to build collaboration, which is essential when you talk about collaboration between industry stakeholders and also with educational institutions. So thank you so much. We're a little bit behind. I'm just going to go to Jenny and then asking Theodore another question. So Jenny, my question to you, you already talked a little bit about it, but I'd like you to share some thoughts as chair member of the Careers Oversight Group, of the role and importance of the Careers Oversight Group in addressing the skills gaps with collaboration in Ireland.
Thank you. And look, it's very similar, I think, to the comments that have been made by previous speakers. I mean, the Careers Oversight Group provided an excellent platform for developing the skills gaps and labour supply issues of the industry. We wouldn't have been able to achieve it in isolation. So each one of us could have been going and doing our different bit, but actually by working together and having all of the key players across industry, education and government together, it really focused the work, because each of us probably had our own thoughts and maybe our own agendas, but actually when we got together, what we realized was there was huge synergies, and we were able to focus on what was the most important thing. And I think also by working together, what we were able to do was achieve more. So we prevented any kind of double jobbing and actually working together. So there was huge successes that we created this tourismcareers.ie. It's a kind of one-stop website for people to come, and it really showed and gave the opportunity to reflect the diversity of careers and courses across tourism. And without everybody working together, we wouldn't have been able to do that. And the work that we're doing, for example, on occupational profiles, if we did that with one sector, then we would get one view. But by us all working together, we can actually do something that is very motivating for actually those that we're trying to attract into the industry. And I think that's one of the big things that we're saying. It's really important as we think about addressing the skills and labour shortages, we have to think about who the target audience is. So we do have to think about the need of the business and what they require, but we also need to make sure that the person who we're trying to target is going to be motivated. And I think through the COG and the research that we've done, we've really been able to kind of adapt and think about that. So we've done things, around supervisory and management skill courses, being developed by TU Dublin. We've also directly linked with kind of high-level students who are available for work. And, we talked about the permits. Again, we're challenging ourselves to think about how we use permits, work permits. They were only for the likes of chefs. We've identified that actually that there are gaps in sort of middle and senior management roles. We're actually going to be looking at a work permit for those. So really kind of establishing them for catering and bar managers and accommodation managers. And, you know, we talked about apprenticeships. Again, they've been very focused on those kind of core hospitality of chefs and bar management. But actually, if you look across Europe, they're much more dynamic about using our apprenticeships to be a lot of other roles, whether they're marketing, communication. And there's a lot of exciting roles that we know from some research that we've done with potential target audience, that the areas of event management, you know, managing attractions, supporting heritage are really important. So again, how can we get them into the industry in a way that maybe is less traditional? So I guess just the work of the COG really is bringing everybody together, getting that shared focus and ensuring that we're working together. And that's what's really made the difference. So we're more dynamic and we're probably delivering more.
Jenny, I couldn't agree more. It's we need to think how we can build this in a new way. We need to think how we can get a hold of the people that needs this that this business, as you said before in your presentation. We need to reach people and careers and think about tourism as a career that needs to have, you know, a lot of innovative initiatives to move forward, because COVID has made this, and we also have lots of challenges that we need to bridge. That were already there before COVID. So thank you. I'm going to ask Theodore a question as well related to this topic. My question would be as well for you to share some examples and solutions in building collaboration with stakeholders from the industry, government sectors, and education and training providers. What examples could you share, Theodore?
I will try to be very short, respecting the remaining time. So I would give 4 examples. Example number 1 is the establishment of knowledge triangles. In EVBB, we have already prepared and submitted an application for the regional knowledge triangles, where regional governments will redraft the tourism strategy, working together with the tourism industry and the relevant regional vet providers. Example number 2, skills anticipation through the use of AI. Data analytics can be very useful for a skills anticipation that will be smarter, faster, and provide better results. This is something that, in example, the Hellenic Open University has already established and is working on, also under some Horizon funding that they had in the past. Example number 3 would be the design of micro courses to address new and specific needs of the market, focusing mainly on soft skills, just like intercultural skills and so on. This would provide targeted increase of skills, targeted upskilling. And example number 4 would be the creation of a feedback mechanism on the quality of the skills that new workers have, graduates have, through the organization of focus groups with market representatives at the regional level, in order, to receive this feedback on the skills of the graduates. I will not expand more. I know that we have a limited time, and I know that you will also have another question, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you.
Please unmute, Fernanda.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much, Theodore. It's very interesting to see how we already have lots of tools designed to address those skills gaps and to bridge skills gaps between industry and education, and with collaboration. I'll just go to the second question because we're a little bit behind on schedule. So my second question, the second topic, is actually about the recovery of the sector in the context of COVID. As mentioned before by some of the other speakers, the idea is to share experience and examples of recovery and resilience in the tourism and hospitality sector, highlighting why innovative collaboration is important to address challenges brought by the crisis. So my first question would be to Jenny. Jenny, could you share examples or actions of Fáilte Ireland address the COVID crisis recovery, meeting the needs of the Irish tourism and hospitality business in skills needs in the context of COVID? How do you see as well the importance of collaboration in this scenario?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I suppose during COVID, like all of us saw, there was sort of an instant crisis that required a very rapid response. So I suppose the first thing that Fáilte did was we actually set up this COVID response team, a COVID task force that was really looking at what the issues of the industry were. And it's interesting just to even, I was preparing for this presentation, I was thinking back to what we were doing in those first days of COVID. We were doing things that were actually helping businesses to close down safely. And, you know, right now it's even hard to think, why did they need to do that? But some businesses were 365 days a year, they didn't actually close down. So having to close down, it was a bit like, how do I do this in a way that I do it safely? And so, you know, within 48 hours, we had got that kind of information together and to give them the guidance. And it was guidance about accessing all the business supports, which were coming out from government very quickly, and it was difficult to actually access them. So there was a lot of that. And then, you know, we have been helping them to reopen. So how do you reopen safely? What do you do? We've been doing a lot of research to understand, you know, what does the domestic and international traveller want? What is really important to them in terms of the messages on safety? And how to do that balance of saying I'm safe, but not feeling like a hospital. So there was a lot of work that we were doing in terms of, you know, making sure people understood, you know, tourism is about holidays. This is about people coming and having fun, but they want to do it in a safe environment and how to kind of balance that. I think the other key piece that's been a real challenge for businesses out there right now is financial sustainability. So they have this just constant worry about, you know, what is the income that's coming, what is the outlay. So we've been doing a lot of work with helping businesses to scenario plan. So, you know, none of us know the certainty, and it has been incredibly challenging. So we've done a lot of work on helping businesses, and you know, back last year in exactly at this time of the year, we had a whole load of work where we were helping businesses to decide, do they close down for the winter? You know, businesses that would have never done that before, is it the right decision to stay closed or to stay open? So we've been doing a lot of things like that. I guess in this year, in 2021, you know, it has been more positive. It's really been about how do you flex, you know, for 2021, it was the domestic audience that was our audience. And in Ireland, 75% of tourism revenue pre-2019 would have come from the international visitor. The needs of the domestic and international visitor are very different. So we had to help businesses pivot to the domestic market and to really help them to understand. And things as simple as, for example, length of stay increasing. So for the domestic market, it might have been usually 2 nights that they were staying. Suddenly they were staying for 4 or 5 nights. Well, then you had to have, for example, more choice in terms of your menu options and more choice in terms of the things that you were offering. So again, we provided real practical supports in terms of helping businesses to adapt without significant capital costs, to being able to meet those needs and to be appealing, and how to target the audience. Right now, we're actually helping them to do the opposite, is to reconnect with the international markets, reconnect with their international visitors, and kind of get that business back in. So there's a lot that we do around sort of demand creation and helping them get their sales. It's about that financial sustainability, so that they will be sustainable businesses that will not only survive, but recover and grow. And the other piece that we're doing right now is all about that labour piece. So as I mentioned in my presentation, there was a big piece about recruitment and how to do that in a quality way. We're also now looking at retention. So one of the things, and I'm sure right across Europe, it's the same issue, because supply of labour is small, what we're seeing, teams are double jobbing or triple jobbing. They're quite exhausted, and motivation levels are dropping. So again, it's about how are we creative about keeping our teams motivated? How do we recognize them? How do we reward them? And they're kind of fundamental sort of HR principles that a lot of smaller micro SME businesses don't have the skills to do. So we're really helping them with that. But our focus for now, and certainly for into 2022, is very much going to be about recruitment and retention of staff and upskilling those staff. So we're also delivering a lot of online professional development development programs. We've also developed a training program where we go into businesses, we as Fáilte Ireland, and we will train up their teams on how to train, so train the trainer. So we're doing a lot of initiatives there around that skill set, because with 1 in 3 new to the industry, we've got to get the levels of skills up, because as one of our previous presenters said, the attitudes and the needs of the customer are changing, and they're also becoming more demanding. And our consumer research has told us that they've been quite forgiving in 20 and 21, but we expect that forgiveness to start to wane in 2022. So the level of service will need to increase. So we will be supporting industry to do that.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. It's very interesting to hear everything that you've done in the beginning of the pandemic, and now how things have evolved and changed, and the many actions that you have developed in Fáilte Ireland as well. I'll just ask another question now to Mr. Grassos, and then just please to all speakers, we have just a few minutes. The organization said we can go for up to 10 minutes now. So if you could please keep a little bit of 3-4 minutes out, thank you. Theodore, my question to you is, what you envision it would be necessary for the recovery of the COVID industry crisis in terms of collaboration for skills needs?
I think that one aspect has been already answered during my first part of the keynote speak that I did. Here, I would like to highlight one thing. Whatever we are designing, it has to be based on inclusion and based on equal opportunities. Why am I saying that? As you know, in the tourism sector, the most vulnerable groups are also working, which means that they have been affected. Women, youth, minorities who are working, they have been affected. So in whatever policy every country adopts and designs, I strongly believe that this policy should be start and end on how we can include more diverse groups as employers, as staff members in the different areas of the hospitality sector. I would not deepen into that in order to keep that as a key message here, because I strongly believe that whatever we are discussing about reskilling and upskilling, it is very important to create opportunities for all. And this is what Europe is about, and this is what every single country should be around. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Theodore. It's absolutely, I couldn't agree more. We have to create opportunities for all and include more than everything. Now I'm going to address a question to Risto. Would you mind sharing how COVID impacted the Bulgarian tourism sector, and how do you think collaboration could change this scenario? Please.
Yeah, sure. I would be very quick and to the point. The tourism sector in Bulgaria was very much affected because Bulgaria concentrates almost all tourism spending and advertising into mass tourism, and Bulgaria is popular with it's a mass tourism destination. And with the pandemic, without the big planes full of people, without the buses full of people, actually the effect was very negative. Because I run a tour operator since 11 years, which is specialized in alternative forms of tourism. What we did, we were always trying to get to the individual traveler. And before the pandemic, a long time before the pandemic, 2-3 years ago, we started offering self-guided and privately guided tours only for individuals. Of course, they're a little bit more expensive, but with the advancement of technology, actually this is much more close to the customers already, and much more affordable than it was before. And actually the pandemic accelerated this growth. And regarding your how collaboration could change that scenario, yes, because a lot of people in Bulgaria are trained, or not trained, but work in mass tourism. They don't know how to provide the individual service. They don't know how to provide the so-called silver service. right? And when it comes to individual customers, which is the way forward, as we all know, and by research, when it comes to this, they need the skills to do that. And a lot of people actually change their jobs from tourism, from hotels to different other sectors like IT and marketing and so on. But the collaboration could actually instruct and build these skills necessary for the people to be professional in the new era of travel. And the new era of travel is individual tourism, the so-called FIT, right? So this is something that I would like to address here, and I would like to finish with that.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for your perspective on the Bulgarian scenario and everything that we could do to address the recovery of the sector. And I'll just ask for Ralph if he could, if you could share his thoughts of how we could build collaboration for the recovery of the industry, and with example of actions in the educational sector addressing skills gaps and shortages for the COVID recovery.
Thanks, Fernanda. Yeah, look, there's lots of different ways, obviously, in which education can help industry to address some of the challenges faced by COVID. I mean, above all, programs in innovation, creativity, how to design new programs and services, you know, I suppose also teaching our students more about resilience and business resilience and organizational transformation. They're some of the key skills that education can help, I suppose, convey to the industry as part of different programs. And in fact, you know, we would have been updating our own courses and programs along those lines. I suppose more concrete kind of things that we have been doing is clearly for part-time students, we've been moving programs online to provide more flexible ways in which students can engage in their programs and courses in higher education. So that's one good way. And another very practical example I had, and that's sort of speaking to Jenny's point earlier, the huge staff shortages in the industry. Currently, I'm trying to, you know, engage with organizations which are providing internships to our students, and I'm trying to get these organizations to think a lot more broadly about internships. So I'm trying to channel students into various different areas, perhaps within a business that might not traditionally be an internship opportunity. So rather than just saying, you know, we take a load of students and they're just going to work in conferencing and banqueting. But I'm saying, look, these students, they're management students as well. So, you know, they can work in areas like marketing, human resources, and various different other areas rather than just, you know, food and beverage or whatever within hotels, restaurants, and all of that. So essentially, we're just trying to get the employers even to think outside of the box in order to address some of these skills needs. Okay, I think what's also important in this point I made earlier is that there is a lot of issues that the organizations have been facing prior to COVID and are still going to be facing after COVID. And I think if we press the pause button on some of these issues, we're going to be even further behind. I mean, we see that, you know, and it's continuously being reported that tourism and hospitality is a laggard with regard to implementing IT. Lots of different areas, whether you're looking at blockchain, smart rooms, you know, and various different issues that we still need to address. So we mustn't forget about those.
Thank you so much, Ralph. It's actually very important to address what you said. And I'm thinking that Now we have to wrap up the event. Sorry, if anyone has any question that would like to leave on YouTube, I can send, and I don't think the speakers would mind, send by email for them. They will probably happily respond to you. And then I just would like to thank everyone for participating in this event. I'd like to thank all guest speakers. It's been an honor. It's been great. We have a lot of things discussed here today related to collaboration on skills needs for the sector. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, your participation. And